and common sense collide. Starring the CryptoKeeper and BlockchainCrusader. Welcome to Debate Crypto. Question everything, trust nothing. It's your boys, CryptoKeeper, BlockchainCrusader, and as always on Thursday nights, you already know we got CBO Crypto in the house. Gentlemen, this evening, Thursday, it's a rainy Thursday here in Columbus, Ohio. I'm sure Paul and Miguel,
it's also
probably
raining
have.
down here.
Is it?
Yeah,
it's always freaking. Paul sends me pictures, so I've got ice all over my driveway last week, right? And I was telling Paul about it, and all of a sudden I get this freaking text message, and it looks like freaking Barbados or something out front, where it's just like gorgeous. It's just beautifully sunny, rubbing it in my face. Yes, I live in Ohio. I do not live in Florida. So smash the likes, guys. We're gonna have some fun tonight. Let's blow up the chat. Let's get wild with the chat tonight, guys. We just, I don't know. I'm feeling it tonight. We just need to get in there, have some fun. We're gonna be doing some TA. Obviously, you guys know that. We're actually gonna start things off a little bit different. So let's dive into it. Miguel, well, actually, not on the very front. We're not starting off different, but Miguel, why don't you give us a little market watch, and then we'll chat on the stock stuff.
All right, let's see what we got here. Give me a second here. Pull up the screen. Boom, it's red. Lots of red. We got like 5 bubbles that are green. Everything is pretty much red, down quite a bit, 18%, 14%, 10%, 11%, 14% over here. Yeah. Big, massive, big dookies everywhere. So not bueno right now, right?
So
incoming
it's looking
bear market for all the panic sellers out there.
I know what you're getting at there, buddy. Yeah, guys. So I wanted to just briefly bring this up. One of the things that seem to be happening right now, and we're going to have Paul get into a little bit of TA on this, but what I have been seeing, Miguel somewhat disagrees with this, so we can talk about that too. But I want Paul to do a little bit of TA on the S&P 500 right now. We have a lot of geopolitical things that are happening, right? And the facts are, crypto, at least as of right now, is loosely, at least maybe even more than loosely, but tied to the equities stock market. It just is. And so the thing that crypto doesn't like is instability, and instability, one of the first places that it's seen after a news headline is in the stock market. And so what I look at it as, and Miguel's already saying it's not, I look at the stock market right now as albeit very small and on a small time frame, a leading indicator. Paul, do you ever use the stock market as somewhat of a, hey, this is, we've been seeing this?
Before he answers, you want to make a bet that he says no?
Well, just because his intelligence level isn't up with mine does not mean.
Okay. Yeah, that's why that's why we bring him on here, because your intelligence is bigger than
yeah. What's you need somebody to make him look good. So, right. I can honestly say, man, I do not very often. Okay. The only times, even tonight, I didn't even have a chart for the S&P 500 until you asked for it earlier, so I just threw one together really quick. Okay. For this little overview, and I mean, I'll be honest, like, I know that it's like a lot of other people do, look to it and kind of correlate the two. So I do touch on it here and there, but right. I've never really fully dove into, or I don't really dive into the S&P very often at all. Like I said, I mean, I have a chart on it, but it was not updated probably since middle last year.
It's for the boomers.
That's fine. Boomer here. Hello. I'm interested to see what this. So I haven't been paying attention to it closely. I've just seen that on the days that the S&P dumps, the freaking crypto markets dump, and that's just a fact. That's not an
but opinion. Correlation is not causation.
I don't disagree. I don't disagree with you with that, but I think that the causation on the front end of the big things happening with the Fed, or we've got tensions overseas with, geopolitical issues. We've got the fog around the world, and those things happen, and then boom, boom, and it hits the equities markets and it hits the crypto markets. That's how it seems. I don't know.
Like I said, correlation is not causation. Just because two things happen simultaneously around the same time, around the same type of news, does not mean that one is
Let me
caused
ask
by
you a
the
quick
other.
question. If the stock market tomorrow dumped, let's just go wild with it, 10%. The whole stock market dumps 10%.
Well,
Miguel, hold on. What happens?
wait, hold
What
on.
happens
Let's
with the
clear for
crypto
the
markets?
people. 10% dump in the stock
Is
market is
huge.
people are in this are like, oh, 10%. That's not
It's
too bad. We live in the
absolutely
crypto
massive.
space. That's not a big deal.
Massive.
10% in the stock market is
It's
people are
massive.
flying off buildings. Okay,
Yes.
like people are not going home that day.
So my
People are
question is,
out of a job.
my question is, for whatever reason that happens, do the crypto markets dump? Heavily.
It could.
Probably, and like I mean,
It
okay,
could.
so
That's what we've seen in the past.
I won't disagree, right? That there is probably is correlation in the sense of if the stock markets are dumping, the crypto markets are dumping in the same fashion, or whatever the case may be. Obviously, crypto is a little bit more volatile, and you see a 10% move over here equates to a 30% over here. It's not always the case, however, and realistically, like I said, if you're only tracking one of the two, for example, Bitcoin, like last night. We have an exclusive members only, market update on every Wednesday night. And me and my partner Magic Internet Money, right? We were going over this, and I can assure you right now, I have zero idea what's going on in other parts of the world. I saw that.
Charlie
I have zero idea when it comes down to I couldn't tell you what the issues in Russia and Ukraine as far as like really all those things are, right? I know that there's some turmoil and there's some issues afoot. But at the same time, just from the very brief high level, there was something that was supposed to happen on today even, and then it got pushed off or something like that. And you got people, things lining up at the border, and then that got pulled off, and then now it's for next week, or now it's for it's all this like kicking the can down the road, just like lip service type of news almost, right? So whatever. I mean, that's for anybody else to kind of go through. I'm not a big news fundamentals analyst in that aspect, right? So we know that.
Don't worry, we're gonna bring you and or Magic, or maybe both of you, on to talk about fundamentals / on-chain metrics versus TA. We're gonna have that. We're gonna have that debate. That debate is going to happen. We're definitely gonna have that.
I hope you're ready for it. I don't know if you want that smoke from Magic, but
buddy, I want it.
Sure
I want all the smoke.
It would
Where
be
he at?
probably the most mind blowing. It would probably be the most mind blowing thing you've ever went through.
I look forward to it.
In a good way, though, for sure.
Drop a 1 in the chat if you're looking forward to seeing Miguel and I go toe to toe with CVO and Magic Money on a little debate action. I know I would love it. So yeah, no, Miguel, let just kind of coming back to what you said. I agree with you that it doesn't mean it's causation. Correlation doesn't mean causation. Totally agree with you. But unfortunately, right now, the causation, which is usually fear from outside of, just spills down into the stock market, which then also spills into the crypto. It might not even happen at the exact same time, but generally, as a rule, they happen together. So let's take a look at it. Let's take a look at. I agree with that for sure. Let's take a look at it. CBO, what you got?
So, all right. We got the S&P 500, right? Obviously, outside looking in, not the best look, right? Just like you said, anybody looking at this is probably thinking pretty bearish at the moment, right? You're putting in, coming over here, essentially coming in with a, you got a wick. This is a 4-hour chart, so nothing, not a daily or anything. Let's actually switch it out to the daily. All right, so on a daily time frame, yeah, you don't necessarily have bodies, but you got
dropping bodies.
You got a wick. So you got a wick. Lower high, right? I'm sorry, lower low coming in right here. So essentially your market structure, this is kind of an indicator that you could be going into a downtrend here. From here, you look for the lower high. So now you got this kind of coming in the picture here. So essentially this is kind of a shots fired that, you might be coming into a downtrend with the S&P. However, we've seen this multiple times before, pretty much right here, depending on how you were looking at this price action at the time, you probably would have considered this the same deal, right? I'll even just cut this up a bit so you can kind of get a good idea of this. And let's do right there. So for example, right, you had this over here, you came over, you put in a lower high, you came up, lower low, it's been a long day. You put in your lower high over here, came back down again, probably more than anything, everybody was expecting major downside. And then obviously we turned around from there. Very similar to the setup we have here. So then, now it's like, what do you look for after this case? You're going to have people kind of looking for, the bullish scenario, right? You're going to be pulling them out of everywhere you can. You're going to have this probably like a little falling wedge here. People are going to be looking for that to break to the upside. So these are generally a bullish pattern here. You got a downtrend going on. If you get the break to the upside, you go higher. Obviously, if it breaks to the downside, generally that'd be a parabolic move to the downside, being a bullish pattern breaking lower. But what I look for, right, is what we've been kind of going over. And I'll bring up the Bitcoin chart too, obviously after this, and kind of go over what we went over last night before we even got this move down. We were already identifying pretty much this scenario in Bitcoin, and I'll go over that here in a second. But let's just go over what we got. What I'm looking at, I guess, in the S&P.
You about to show us a nice little range here, are you?
Always. So
always, baby. I like the range trading, man. I've been really paying attention as much as I can, and we've been doing some live trades with our academy. Miguel just actually brought that up. Thank you, Heidi, for the love. We appreciate you. I see the super chat that you're here to troll Paul as well.
Heidi.
But I've been utilizing that as a tool in the tool belt recently, and hey, we've won the last 2 trades. Call it lucky, maybe, I don't know, but 2 live trades with the crew and 2 live crew. We've been 2 for 2, so I like the range. It's been good.
It's game changing, man. It really is, because like I said, it just kind of separates everything from like having you guess more than anything. It's still probabilities at the end of the day. You're not it's not a for sure thing, right? It gives you kind of levels to watch. Obviously, better indication on where to put stop losses, and kind of gives you just more validation. Before I actually pull up that range, though, this is actually what I was looking at last, which I think a lot of people kind of were in R2. Right, we had this pretty major uptrend in the S&P, if you're kind of tracking it in this ascending channel here, and we definitely got a clear break to the downside here. And kind of going back in time, you have similar runs in the past, right, where you have these huge multi-year trends. Basically, here you had kind of a blow off top. I think this was 2018, right when the last crypto market top was as well. And then we kind of had a pullback there just to the range low, or ascending channel essentially. And it kind of still continued from there, had a pretty big move down. Then you had another. So, I mean, as you can see, this is not necessarily the easiest or the best way to just kind of track things. It's just kind of showing that during this period of time, you were just trending higher, right? And realistically, you trended higher all the way up to here. And then you had that pullback once again, a smaller time period. And then ever since that March 2020 crash, pretty much, we've been trending higher too. So now looking at this, anybody that's kind of tracking this in a similar fashion is going to see a pretty bearish scenario as well, right? So you've got a pretty bad breakdown out of this ascending channel, it's over at least over a year, right? So that's March 2020. Yeah. So you're talking almost 2 years. We kind of came back up, and just as anything else, right, when you have those, descending channels, or even when you break to the upside, you come back and you get a bullish retest of something. You hold that as support, and then you take off. You have the same situation known as the bearish retest. When you break down, you come back up. If you're just looking at price action, right, you're just knowing and noticing that the prices are coming back up. You're feeling okay. It's going to recover. When realistically, it's running into some big resistance right here. You get this bearish retest possibly, and this could kind of spike you down. So that's probably what many are looking at right now in fears, right? And then you got news surrounding it. That's going to make it seem like it's going to continue lower. And, if that's something that you base your strategy around is news, then obviously do, what's best for you. And, it doesn't matter what I think. I think that I don't really correlate the news at all, but I do look at levels and know where to kind of go engage off of that. So we're going to take a look at what this would look like as a range right now. So I pulled just for a simple example here. This is the, let's see, I think this is just our January range here. So coming in, got this based off volume here. We've got our range high coming in at this level here. We've got our point of control, which is a big volume target. This is essentially where the most volume took place in the last few weeks here. So this is where the most money traded hands, buying and selling basically. And then we got our range low. So as you can see here, we basically have come down and we're sitting on this range low right now. And this is major support, right? Yes, you can have some deviations, little wicks below, right? Because this basically stops out traders, essentially. Like if you were trading this range, for example, if you were going to enter something that looked like this and you're trying to enter at the range low, you basically put a stop loss, around these lows, these previous lows right here. And essentially, if this holds, then we're looking to run it back to the top of the range. The first real big target comes into play at this point of control, which is about $4,700. And then you're looking at the range highs, which is essentially almost towards your all-time high. We'll have to see how things play out, of course. But right now, you're basically coming into, major support, right? So that's kind of what the bigger thing I just want to point out is, and everybody gets really fearful at support. They get very, overly bullish at resistance, right? A lot of people get excited as the price gets higher. If we ran it back to $4,700 tomorrow, you can assume that everybody would be probably piling in.
So tell me, Paul, how big of a move did we have in the last 2 days? How big of a move was it the last 2 days?
How big of a move in the last 2 days?
Like percentage wise?
Probably like 1%, 2%. But for the stock market,
the stock market is a move, right? I mean, it just is. So I'd be interested to see.
It's just like an 80-year-old getting up and going to the toilet. That's a big move. Big move right there.
All right, so that's one thing I'm looking at here, right? So I'll kind of cruise through this. Another thing that I look for right now, we've got our monthly open and our yearly open, and essentially, you really want to be living above this yearly open for bullish continuation on any asset. And essentially, that came in basically right at the all-time high. So that is a little bit of something to be concerned about, because if you don't start living back above that, then we probably do have some things to worry about, like heading back to the downside for a bit. You really want to also be living above this monthly open, which is about $200 away from where we are now, $110, I guess, about $4,500. But once again, kind of start, piecing this together now. So you see where we're at our range lows. If we start moving up from here, you regain this monthly open. Now we look up to essentially the middle of the range here. We got our point of control back up here, and then really want to clear this yearly open. That's kind of the staircase to heaven that you want to see kind of taken out. And obviously, at the same time, anybody that's just going to wait for that confirmation, you're obviously going to miss out on this entire move. Once again, totally up to you if that's something, if that's in your risk wheelhouse, because this could also just break to the downside. This is no guarantee that this is just going to run it back, but odds are, right, you re-enter this range, you hit the highs, you run it down to the lows. Realistically, you're looking back to the range highs. These ranges do break, right? So that last trade is going to be a lose, because if you're going to be entering at the low expecting the highs, and if it breaks down, or if you enter here and go to short and it breaks higher, that last trade is going to be a loser. But theoretically, this is how we're going to oscillate until otherwise, right? So these two are the next levels of major that you want to see kind of regained. And then we're going to throw on some key levels here. So now, taking a look at this, right? So these are high time frame averages of price.
And these metrics, Paul, these are the same exact type of metrics, same type of numbers that you're looking at with Bitcoin, right? You're not throwing on something different filter, some different look because it's the stock market, correct?
No. Actually, these things work better with the stock market, honestly, and it's a little easier to maneuver through, because there's not so much tomfoolery compared to Bitcoin, right? Like, just because it's so, like, we're talking about a 2% drop in 2 days versus what did Bitcoin see today? 10%, give or take, within the last 2 days, at least 10. But yeah, so it's the same things we're using there too. And, you can kind of see how these are respected, kind of just dating back to, right? We got the quarterly key level basically coming in here at this low, lost this one, regained it, continued higher, barely came down basically, to touch over this key level right here. And where do we find, where we're at right now? Well, we're losing this 12-month, right? So this is a big one. So right now you've got the three largest resistances ahead of you. And this is without pulling up a single moving average, looking at the RSI or anything. You've got major resistances right ahead, right above you. However, you're sitting right now on the range low, right? So you do get a bounce from here. You regain this 12-month. This is a year of price averaged in right here. Regain and hold this level. It's probably, looking to the upside. You're probably going to see this monthly open again. From here, you got this quarterly level in your way. You got your range high, and then you take out that yearly open and you start, going up from there. So in the short term here, right, it's just, this is what I'd be looking for. If we lose this box, however, we're probably coming back down to this quarterly key level where we found, around where we found support right here. I'm sure there's other things in the mix. Like I said, I threw this chart together really quickly just about an hour ago. But this is, to me, this is what I'd be looking for. So right now you got S&P on pretty key support, and in the realm of looking for some market structure, right? You are coming in, you do have a higher, or you got your low, you have your high so far. Right? Obviously, you don't have a higher high from the previous swing here, but if you do come right here and you pop in this higher low, well, now you run the risk of you might start making this little uptrend here. Paying attention for these right here. So it's very level by level at the moment, but that's pretty much how I'd look at it, right? And this is without news interfering with anything, right? This is just tracking the price action. So for me, losing this 12-month right here, this you could put alerts and whatever you do, or just monitor it. Just a lot of people sometimes just have the S&P, or you have Bitcoin up on your main chart while you're looking at anything else. But losing this was not great today, right? Losing this monthly open was not great. And then starting off by basically just dumping right after the yearly open was not a great sign either. But it can be regained here. And this is all you'd be looking for. You get this drop right here, and you're probably coming down to $4,200. And this is where people start panic selling, all the things around that, right? Because they don't know what and where to look for. Probably from here, everybody's just gonna be looking straight down, like we're gonna come back down to, like a fib level, right? People will probably start pulling fibs from like the March low, and that's a valid thing to do. Not to say that that's not, but if you were to look at that and kind of strategize that we could be going down to like the 0.5 or the 0.618, these are big, these are main levels.
Sweet baby Jesus. Watching the market drop all the way down there.
That would be a freaking depression.
And like I said, that's just
the boomers.
That would be essentially, I think that's like 30%. Yeah, you're talking like 30, 34, 35. That's pretty much, the COVID crash over again. So obviously everything's possible, but, I wouldn't start freaking out about, that until you start losing these, up here.
Right.
So, and essentially, like, this is over the last, this is the last 1 year. So, I'm sure there's other key levels down here as well. But, yeah, so, are we going to just melt to the downside? I don't, obviously nobody knows, but I don't think
it's
so.
Not looking good.
I think that everybody's
not looking good for the
worried about
markets.
it, but it's I think that in the worst case, in the short term, maybe we drop out of this range, we come down to this quarterly level right here. But also, it's a very simple idea here is that you look for this 12-month to get regained. It's at about $4,420, right? Look for that to be, broke above, held, start seeing daily candles closing, and then you can kind of look up from there. So we'll see.
You want to know something? You want to know something interesting, real quick? I just kind of as an aside, that the Bitcoin conference is coming up. We've been talking about that, and I want to correlate it to what we're talking about here. First of all, side note, all caps, DebateCrypto, 20% off. If you guys want to use a code, that's literally will get you 20% off of whatever admission you want to get. But you were talking about basically, lows, highs, everything in between. The Bitcoin conference, as it relates to the crypto markets, has marked, I think, more than once, but I know last year, at least for sure, within days of the top or a local top and or all-time high. And that's happened, I believe, at least twice. I'm interested to see if we can hold 40 right now. And this is why I want to hear what you got to say on this, Paul. If we're able to hold 40K on Bitcoin, what the outcome, looks like over the next, month and a half, whatever, if that's looking like
so you're saying that if Bitcoin holds 40 and we go into April for the conference,
on the way up, are we going to make a new high? Because we have done that a couple different times.
A new high, and then, but what if we don't reach new all-time highs just yet by April time, right? Because that's
I'm just totally throwing out there that's a short period of time that a huge move could possibly happen. Just because
I thought you were insinuating something like, with the price level we're at, if we just whatever price movement we have upward, that could be the next top for the market, meaning we're going to drop a lot lower.
Oh, no. I just meant that the Bitcoin conference has correlated with the tops, I think, at least twice. You'd have to double check within a few days. And so I was.
So it's funny you mentioned that. Yeah. I don't know if it was you and I talking about that last time or not too, but yeah, I just noticed that too in the past because.
Okay. Yeah. No, I don't think we talked about it, but I noticed that it was when we were kind of looking back through some things.
Right.
So talk to me about it.
I remember very vividly the Bitcoin, because obviously I'm in close to Miami here, right? So I didn't get to go to those conferences back then, but one that was at the Clevelander, right? This pretty big, not the most like nicest hotel, but definitely a big spot that they had the Bitcoin conference. It was 2017's peak, so it was like maybe January of 2018, I guess. And you saw, just the peak euphoria that you could ever see in the crypto markets, right? People are just going crazy, cashing out, Bitcoin at ATMs and all this and all that. And then the last time of note was when
tipping strippers in Bitcoin, freaking
pretty much. It was cash back then. There was no adoption at the time, man. It was just straight, straight internet money at that point. But and then May of last year was last year's basic. That was our Bitcoin conference. It was last year in May, or maybe it was April too.
I think it was April.
It was April. Okay, so and that was pretty much a couple of weeks right before we took that mid-year plunge. So it is kind of interesting, I guess, how that may line up, and whether that's obviously in correlation or just like pure speculation, obviously. But that'd be interesting to see. I guess to answer you, as far as were you saying that between now and then you see a new all-time high as far as over 69K, or just a new high as far as like higher than 52, which is currently our pretty much our higher high?
I was just kind of throwing out there that because within a couple weeks of that, all-time highs have come in at that on a couple different occasions. I just think, man, just throwing out there, like, what if we are gearing up for a huge freaking move right now? 40 seems to be a level that everybody is really looking at. I think 39.8, and you're going to show us tonight, but I think 39.8 is actually what that huge number is, or one of them, to hold us, at support where we really need to be. I just think, man, what better than to get a whole bunch of freaking Miguels, Bitcoin maxis together for a conference, right? And be at a new all-time high. I mean, can you imagine? It would be nuts, and that would be a big move from where we're at right now. Think about it. That would be a 75% move from where we're at right now.
It would be big. But I don't know. I got my screen back up if you want to share this real quick. So every day, for anybody that's looking, I do a live stream Monday through Friday at least. 7:30 in the morning, 8:30 on YouTube. I'm sorry, on TikTok. And
is it on YouTube as well, Paul, or just TikTok?
It's posted thereafter, but it's not live, and it'll be on there like a couple hours later.
Okay.
So it's on both. But if you want to see it live, or whatever, if you're ever up in the morning, 7:30 Eastern, just to tune in if you'd like. But I've been looking at this range, right, for Bitcoin basically since, and this is a structural range here that's basically been since the 6th of January. So we could dissect this a couple more ways, but just as far as like a higher level at this whole entire price action, this is what I've been just kind of looking for. And essentially, same thing, right? So just for anybody that's, wondering, right, we look at these ranges, and basically when you enter into them, right, this is the high at the moment, this is our low. And basically this is a daily time frame now. So that's why the candle's kind of just, running. But if you zoomed in, you'd probably see a retest and so on. But you essentially come into this range high, then you lose it, and you pretty much have a couple of targets in your way. And, one of them being the point of control, which is a major volume target here. Let me just see. I may not have it pulled up, so it's right here. So about 41 to almost $42,000, which is pretty much right here, as you can see, right? We had this huge candle. So I'll draw this out a little bit for you guys, right? So we ran through here. Lost the high, you basically come down to your point of control, you lose that. We actually fell out of the range. So at that point, you really want to wait till you kind of come back into it. At this level, you're really kind of at risk of falling lower. We did re-enter the range right here. As you enter the range, you got a natural target again, back at this point of control. You basically straight up right to it, overcome it to the range highs. We lost it, back to the point of control. And essentially that's the dance we take over and over until, like I said, these ranges break out.
Mm-hmm.
So what we've been looking for, and this once again, just to kind of go back to the beginning when you asked me about, the stock market dumping, and you didn't mention news, but I assume that that's going to come up in conversation here in a second. And like I said, I couldn't tell you, what the conflict is, where or why. And, it doesn't affect, what we're looking at. It, like to me, right? Like it's just, if anybody else is, utilizing that information to kind of dictate, then that's one thing.
But does it? Let me pause real quick. But does it? Because, okay, you have your charts out and March happens. If you look at I have to believe, and I know that that would be an anomaly, but I'm using an extreme example. So if we look
March
back
what,
at the charts,
2020?
yeah. So if we look back at the charts, March 2020, there was some bearish activity leading into that, but nothing on that chart said, "Hey, we've got just an absolute huge move coming in." So my question is, you guys are so good at TA and do such a great job with it. Why would you not add that to your repertoire? Why would you not at least do you feel like it's going to affect your judgment? Do you feel like you're going to take information from off the charts and place it basically in, and it's going to kind of pollute your thinking?
Well, let me ask you, when was it? Last Friday. How did that affect everybody Friday? Because did the price action not actually pump last week? I don't remember. At some point last Thursday, Friday, we were, everybody was really nervous. And maybe it was Monday we walked in and the price pumped from 42 up to 45. And it's just, it doesn't affect, I guess, me, man, in that aspect, because it's just, and maybe over time in the grand picture of things, if that's something that does affect it, but in the short term, like last week, it didn't, right? It absolutely, you had I think Friday, if we could pull it up here in a second, we could take a look at it. But like, I know that on Monday, we had a big move to the upside, right, out of nowhere. And it was, everybody's looking for there were so many things stacked up. You had the Russia news, you had the Fed meeting, and I don't know what even came of the Fed meeting personally. I didn't really even hear anything about it. I know the minutes got released today. Still really didn't hear anything, but once again, I'm not searching for that stuff. But if I do come across it, then I know that it's like.
But there was bullish information. There was bullish. But Miguel, what was the information we got from the Fed meeting that ended up being the help with that move?
I'm gonna have to look up that tweet, dude. I don't remember what it was.
Oh, okay. Well, it was and then I'll tell you.
I
thought that you knew what it was. It basically, to make it really simple, is that the Fed said, "Hey, like, it's going to be less than you are expecting in terms of rate hikes," and they basically said it's going to be way less than you're expecting. Essentially, it was bullish news, and so I'm not so much questioning whether or not that affects the markets, because it does. What I'm kind of wondering is, do you feel like it only really affects the markets when it's like something big, and that'd be something you'd hear about anyway? Is that kind of what you're saying? And that the day-to-day, the Super Bowl, or this, or that, just kind of these little events, they just don't have the impression on the market like sometimes people think they will, so you just say, hey, heck with it, I'm leaving it out? Is that kind of what you're saying, or more than
I mean, look at the whole Super Bowl. Everybody was so pumped about the Super Bowl, right?
Yeah.
And
sell the news,
nothing.
baby. Sell the news, baby.
You guys want to see something cool?
Always.
All right. March 2020.
Thank you, Heidi, for the Debate Crypto Baby Fund.
All right, you ready to see it? So you got obviously your peak back in 2017. You got your low, so on and so forth. I just ran a range from the high in December to around December, so not even to this price action coming over here. And this is what it looks like. So going off of this alone, if you did not know, 20 years from now, when you look back at this chart, you're not going to know that COVID happened right here, right? This was your range high, range low, point of control, and same deal. We basically deviated here. So yeah, this is not where you really want to be playing around with. You wait till you re-enter the range. You would put a bot in here, stop loss, you got your point of control as your next target. From there, you overtake that, you're going to the range highs. Breakout could have went higher here, right? You look for that confirmation, you break back into this range, and you're going back to the lows. Boom, coming in. Go back to the range highs, can't hold it. You lose this middle right here, and you're going back to the range lows. And yes, it didn't catch the exact low right here, but that is exactly what we did for that year, going straight through there. And then this is a good example of how that last trade would basically burn you, because we'd go up to the range highs, you'd go short, you'd win for a second, but it turn around, and then you get stopped out up here.
Right. Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. So essentially, what you're suggesting is it's still only, even with that huge of a move, it's still only deviated from the bottom of the range for a short period of time. So the ranges and the trading within the range are still valid, just like anything else. It's probabilities, right? So yes, did it drop out? It did, but it wasn't for some huge amount of time. It didn't continue to stay out. It came back up into the range, and then it continued to do as expected, is what you're stating.
Correct.
Yeah, that's interesting. You know, again, I've been looking at them, and I actually need to get into the Discord, because my thing is I've been looking at some ranges, but I don't know that I'm looking at the correct ranges, right? And I know you teach that in your Discord, right? So guys, if you're looking to kind of go further with that, get a hold of CVO, get a hold of Magic, and get into their Discord, because I know that they are teaching that type of stuff. Because quite honestly, I don't even know, you know, some of that I need to get more into that. So when you guys, you know, teach that,
so, but what I brought that up for, though, was, you know, just to kind of show that, right? So this is the thing, day to day, the news is in your face, and it's whatever. At the end of the day, the markets hold structure. They hold, you know, all this, because you know, just like I just showed you, anybody, obviously we all know, because we all went through it, and it's very, you know, fresh in our minds. But, you know, think back to the run up that was from 3K to 14K, which was basically just the top of the range before it pulled back. What was that news that sparked it? I'm pretty sure, I think it was like China president said something. I can't remember, or whatever, but there was something around that, I think. And that's, once again, it's just, you think, right? But looking back to that, you know, it's just, it's a system, like, almost, right? So once again, that's just what works for us. If news is what you go off of, and that's the thing, like day to day, yeah, you can, you know, but it's just, they don't play out all the time. That's what I guess I want to bring up, because Friday last week, I can't remember when it was, because like I said, I just don't really pay attention to it. But there's multiple times where, you know, everybody goes to get out of the market, or they go to short it or whatever, thinking that Monday is going to be this, you know, war with Russia and Ukraine going on, right, or whatever the case may be. You know, the other ones were the variants, right? The two, you know, Omicron back. I don't know if we can even say all this stuff without getting banned on YouTube,
whatever,
but
it's fine. Yeah.
Usually can on TikTok, but you know, all those things came and went, and you know, we still, up until January, put in all-time highs, man, for everything.
It's just another probability, then, is what you're saying. You're saying, hey, it's
that's what I would say. I'm not gonna, you know, I'm not dumping on anything about the news, obviously, because it could, you know, and anybody that does, you know, high fundamental analysis, you know, is probably successful in that aspect. I just don't. So, right. But at the same time, we can both almost arrive at the same conclusion, right? So I guess that's the answer there. But
so what would make you call for a bear market, right? Like, what either catalyst event or price action would you say, you know, because we're kind of heading back towards that 40, you know, 39K with a 10% drop. Now we have this whole war thing, right, going on with Russia. And if whether that takes a play into action or not, and we keep dropping lower, where would you say, oh man, you know, this is
super bearish
crypto bear market? Like, we're not going to be hitting a new all-time high, right? We could possibly be ranging through here for a long time.
Man, at this point, I think it's very much in the cards that it's going to be one of those things, man, where we look back 6 months, and that's when we find out, you know, I don't think there's anyone out there that can honestly say, you know, and maybe that's just me, but you know, anybody that really, you know, I had one analysis that I went off of till the end of the year that was invalidated, and I reevaluated, right? So, and at this point, I'm not going to jump in the camp of being like, oh, you know, we're only going up from here, You know, I do see us kind of continuing back up, at least towards, you know, the previous highs, and then some. It just depends on how and when we get there, but you know,
okay, but you are seeing you there's no time reference or anything, that's fine, but you do foresee or believe that we will be heading towards new all-time highs. We're not gonna just keep ranging and going lower for the foreseeable.
I think that, man, if we see $27,000, $28,000, $29,000, big if, right, keyword, that is, to me, and this is opinion at this point, right, that would be, I'd sell everything, right, and get into crypto at that point. You know, that would be the number one. Bitcoin is dead, bear market. You know, it's just and there's reason behind that. And you know, we've covered that a couple of times here. But you know, I'm gonna go over this chart real quick just to kind of get out of that scenario there. But this is that current range, and this is kind of an overview. And I will go to 4 hours just to kind of clean this up a bit, so it's not so just one, you know, big red candle basically. But this was, you know, our flashing red signal, you know, at least in the Discord. And when we went over this last night, that we could assume that we were going to see lower price action come in, because we came in, and as just market structure comes in, right, you got your low, you got a high, you got a higher low, you got a higher high. Essentially, we're still going to put, you know, we were looking to see if this was going to be our higher low to continue to the upside. The problem was that we came up and we put a lower high in, right? So had this come up broken this up, and we could have continued to the upside short term. The fact that we came up and we did not clear this, this was basically that red light saying we're probably going lower here. So
would that have been an inverse head and shoulders that was working on until we just dumped lower?
Okay, I'm glad you said that, because that's another thing, right? And it's just, I brought this up today, which this is the thing with Bitcoin, right? Think about this. Not all the altcoins are the same, because there's 14, 15,000 altcoins, whatever it is. And when you see patterns on altcoins, a lot of times they play out, right? They're a lot more probable, I would say. I've been pretty successful with altcoin trading in that aspect. But Bitcoin on patterns, the thing is with Bitcoin is that everyone watches Bitcoin. Not everyone watches every altcoin, right?
Right.
I don't, you guys probably wouldn't even know what the avalanche chart looks like right now, or this or that.
It probably looks similar to this.
Maybe, but I'm guaranteeing you, everybody knows that the Bitcoin chart had a inverse head and shoulders coming, right? This really was a big top subject for anybody that doesn't know. Essentially, this is what we were looking for. Well, if you were expecting this to play out, so I'll clean it up a little bit, but there was a big inverse head and shoulders, right? And in the world of Bitcoin, it's maybe 4 out of 5 or 4 out of 10, play out, just to kind of get everybody to the point where they remember 1 or 2 that played. But when you see something like this clear as day on Bitcoin, man, a lot of times they don't play out, or at least at first, right? So maybe this turns around and we come back up and it goes from here. But this is where everybody was expecting. Just earlier today, this is what the chart looked like this morning.
Oh, you're saying so many eyes are on it, and it's such as a general rule, because so many people are on it, that almost the whales, the institutions, the market makers say, hey,
they invalidate it. Yeah,
good luck.
Exactly.
I guess you could look at it that way, but regardless, if this was to break, this still, like with the way we look at it, right? We were looking for 46K to break, but on a different measure here. We look at this was on a range high. So either way, once again, kind of arriving at the same, area, different methods. But to me, when we saw this coming in, now we're looking for lower levels. And guess what? Most people probably panicked, right? When they see, I don't even have to draw it out. You're just going to see what the chart looks like at this point. But, after you start seeing this dumping, and now the next question is, oh my God, what's going to happen? Where's this going to fall down to? And, for me and everybody in the group, right, we know where it's going to at least come down to in the short term, worst cases. And it's these 5 levels right here. And there's, big Y's behind that. One of which was, this was the key, a quarterly key level. So a high time frame average of price right here. You had the point of control, which I showed you earlier too, basically in this level as well. So we kind of stopped there for a second earlier today. But aside from that, it pretty much just melted through. So what's next, right? Well, we have our previous weekly pivot that was untapped, which is now tapped, obviously, so holding on to that. This was also our CME futures gap, which I didn't, the gap was actually like 0.5% higher. But for anybody that was watching that, those are, usually backfilled right here. So this was our gap right here. So we came through, filled that. And once again, this is something where when you get to this level, everybody, really assumes that this would be the low and load up here. So it's something to be very considerate about, because it's very possible to see just a little bit more downside just to kind of whack everybody up, right? And if that's the case, then what would you look for? Well, right below this.
Well, I want to know, because I'm looking to put in a long. So just go ahead and draw this out for me. Let me know where I need to put in.
When you go put in your long, will you tell us? Because I don't know what to do, right?
Yeah, do the exact opposite. except for 3 out of my last 4 trades have been winner chicken dinner. So just saying.
That's good, man. That's good.
Working on
it. That
I helped them point them in the right direction.
Yeah, right? Miguel actually lead guides and directs me, so it's all him.
He's a big one. But just to kind of hit this home real quick, you somebody in the chat, right? I think Cameron, he's saying that the inverse head and shoulders could still be in play. Could be, right? You could totally. So this is the thing, right? For me, it doesn't matter, because that neckline anyways comes across right here at this range high. So in theory, you break this range high and you're going to the next level, and that next level comes in at, we don't even really have to go over it too much right now, but it's going to be $47,700 is your next key level coming up. You got your range highs about 50K. You got a NPOC, which is a major volume target at 49,000. So that all activates, so to speak, once you break this range high. And at the same token, you basically would be, turning around and coming right back up, breaking this. Everybody's going to look at this as a head and shoulders break to the upside, which is totally fine. Like, it's fine if you look at it like that. But the biggest issue is when that doesn't play out right away and we end up with a day like today. How many people panicked on this move right here? Right? How many? I guarantee. I mean, probably everyone.
You want to know? I want to ask you. So it was weird today, and I don't know. I apologize for cutting you off. Okay, so I don't know why, but I have been watching that 40K number. It was the into the 30s, that 40K. That number has been there. Then we dropped down into the lower 30s, right? We had that discussion. I took a little bit of profits. Then we moved back up. Whatever. This move today, to me, did not feel at all. And I don't know if the rest of the market didn't move quite as much or if it had just kind of tapered down like a little bit. It didn't feel as drastic today and yesterday. It just didn't. It felt like it was almost like supposed to happen. Like we needed to kind of come back to 40-ish, play around a little bit, maybe even drop to high 39s. Am I freaking crazy, or did I just not pay attention to it?
Bitcoin is supposed to be doing is going up.
Going up and to the right. Yeah, of course.
Not down. There is no like, oh, it's normal for it to come back down. Absolutely.
Heidi, thank you for the love. Guys, make sure you smash the likes. Make sure you're following CVO if you're not already. And check out his Discord also, and check out our academy.
Quick question for the chat. For anybody out there watching the stream
I already asked, but go ahead.
Asked what?
Oh, go ahead. I thought you were going to ask about the background.
No. Yeah, I'm going to ask about the background. I want to see a 1 in the chat if you like the new dope ass background. A 2 if you think it's distracting.
Be honest.
Dude, 100.
Be honest.
Nick hates it. I'm going to be straight. Nick hates it. I don't think so. I think it's cool.
I actually, hey, I want to give you. I want to give.
And so does CVO.
I want to give some credit where credit's due. Now that we're having a full-on conversation and I'm not paying attention to it as much, it's not bothering me. But
it's the boomerize. They can't take the motion.
The weird thing is like metaverse, having on actual VR glasses. None of that bothers me. But for some reason, I think it's because I'm sitting right at it and the movement is just. I don't know. It was.
He thinks he's going to go into the screen. He's like, whoa.
Well, you know what? Natalie Lambert said, and John Connor said distracting. Justin says distracting.
Well, they don't run the show, so I don't care what they think.
So here at Debate Crypto, we question everything, trust nothing, and Miguel does not trust you if you said otherwise. If you don't agree with Miguel, then get off the show. That's what Miguel says.
Hey, some people just don't got taste.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Sorry. Okay, so back to where we were. The 40 number didn't feel like as big of a move. Felt like it kind of needed to happen. What
is your question?
I'm just saying.
Is the retracement normal?
Yeah, like was this retracement needed? Was this retracement needed? Did that CME gap need to fill? Was there anything in particular that told you that hey, this probably is going to happen?
Well, that lower high last night told us that was probably going to happen. But until then, it was we like I said, this is the thing, right? Been tracking these levels below here. And it definitely is a situation where you kind of have to, wait and see what happens, right? So you kind of have these planned reactions just for this example, because if anybody and everybody was only looking for this inverse head and shoulders and, assuming it was only going up, but didn't have a plan for if it didn't, that's the difference, right? So here, we could have you could have just busted right through the range high and continued on from there. And if that happened, then we knew our next targets, right? Until that happens, all this is in play. And even with this in play right here, once again, these levels right here all have a why. This isn't just random, pulls. Coming back to that CME level, no, you didn't have to fill that by any means.
Right,
there's multiple CME, I'm not saying that in a bad way, but just there's multiple CME gaps that have never filled. I mean, some of them are all the way back under 10K.
Right.
But generally, we see them fill pretty high statistics.
Yeah, a lot of times they do.
And when this is the time frame, by the way, I was talking about. So let's see, we dropped down to here Friday. 11th, right? And just to kind of back that up to the news thing we were trying to getting on. And this was when everybody's getting really nervous because, the whole Russia thing was going to happen, I guess, by Monday. I don't know. Who knows? But Monday comes around, 14th, and then you get this, impulse move to the upside. At this point, everybody gets bullish again. The news just so happened to line up that, things were pulling back and this and that. Well, then we get this lower high, which just in a structure, you're just assuming that this is going to go lower. We get this move down, and then we get the news that, whatever the news is today. So just throwing that out there for that kind of that argument, I guess, in a sense. But anyways, you got this weekly pivot. This was what we were targeting. Broke this quarterly key level. You broke this point of control, and we were looking down to this level right here. CME gap, weekly pivot. Obviously, that's been met. Now, the thing to me is that this level doesn't necessarily make the most sense to turn around from quite yet. Can we? Absolutely. And once again, there's things we can look for. But from here, right below this, which most people probably don't know about, aren't aware of, right? You have a 2-year key level coming in. It's only about $300 or $400 under here. But the thing is that it is at 39,000 and change. So once again, we break that 40K big key level, and then everybody's going to be looking, much lower, back down to 36 and 33. And while those are valid, things that you can be on the table, it's just not something that you want to really, be too, in love with, I guess, until you start breaking some of these other ones, because this level right here is a big one to get above. If you remember, we had those doomsday levels back when we were dancing in this area right here, which actually took us down to these two volume targets down here. This was that $33,000 pullback. We hit this volume target. That was a monthly NPOC. And then we had a weekly right below it, did not get tapped. So technically this could be, the next level that we come down to.
Can you pull something up for me real quick, CVO? Somebody asked in the chat.
32,000? Holy smokes.
So check this out real quick. And I was going to see if you could pull this up real quick. Do you see BTC drop into the 200 SMA in the next few weeks? Doesn't it have a history of doing that, especially once it drops below the 50? Can you show us moving averages in conjunction with what you got pulled up, just to kind of see where we're at and where that number would maybe, if there's another correlation anywhere there as it relates to some of the moving averages?
Sure. I don't know if you're talking about they say a time frame, because sometimes you're looking for like a weekly.
He had the 200 and the 50. He did
in the next few weeks.
He didn't say, but I guess I was just kind of curious.
I think I know what you're talking about, because that's usually like the bear market low and all that stuff. So I'll pull that up here in a second. But just to kind of dance us out of this little situation here, is that this box right here, to me, is pretty important, right, for us to hold. This was our levels that we were looking for to get back into upside continuation. We broke above that. The bottom of this basically comes at this 2-year key level. What this level also represents is the range low of the entire range of last year. So right here, so we re-enter into this entire range that does run back up to like 65K. It wouldn't be overnight by any means, but this is a level you really want to see held. Now, if you don't, then you got these other two right below it. But once again, like I said, everybody's probably going to get really crazy looking for some of these lower levels, and they could be valid, right? I'm not going to say none of these can't happen. You just kind of have some validations along the way. But what I'd be looking for is just these are levels of really big insight going forward, short term. Right now, we're on one of them. At any point, we can turn around. Like I said, this one to me is probably not the most, doesn't have the most probability, but we could totally turn around from here. And what we're really looking for at the end of the day is we got this low, a high, a higher low, and we really want to close above this low right here. So that could bring us all the way back down to 36,200 and allow us to basically still come in. We got a higher high up here, and we could put in a higher low, and you still be creating an uptrend overall. So with all these other levels that we're looking at right here too, like I said, you got the 2-year key level right below us. It's about $300-400. Maybe everybody's got their eyes on 39K, who knows, but whatever, that doesn't necessarily matter at this point either. But as far as what everybody's looking for, because everybody's going to be looking here. Once we get there, everybody's going to be looking next, right? So these are the levels though that I'd be watching for. This very bottom one is a volume target, right? So this has got some weight. It does come in above this low, so we could come all the way back down to here, put in a higher low, and still be building an uptrend. This is also what is it, a monthly open?
That'd still be what? That'd still be another 10% drop from where we're at now.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be nasty going down. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But overall, that'd be kind of when the question comes into like, where would it stop? We've got some big, stops in the way. And the worst case scenario would be coming all the way back down, hitting that 29K. Obviously, that's what everybody is looking for, I think, in the big bears. But to me, I think that where we're at right now, it does hold some ground. Like I said, that was our doomsday box to get back above. We're basically coming back and retesting that now. So this could very well be where we find that support and turn around, but we don't know that yet. So we'll see how things go. But that would be the reason behind some of these levels right here. Now to bring up what that person asked for the moving averages, I'm going to throw this out to a daily. Got your death cross right there. Famous. So I'm assuming they're talking about like the weekly, right? So on the weekly time frame, say
weekly.
The 200. Okay, they said that. Yeah, that's usually where we come down to, like on a bear, whatever the low, whether it's bear market or not. Like the COVID crash in 2020, we dropped down to pretty much this level 2. Ooh, this is a good one. I think this is the chart we need though. All right. In regards to where that is right now, that's about 20K. But what they're bringing up is, let me get this in log so you can see this. Johnny on the spot here, So right here, for example, right, if you didn't have enough data back here yet, but you can assume that this line pretty much crossed through here. You see where that bear market low came in 2013. And up here in 2018, this is where we came down to. The yellow line is that 200 that they're speaking of, the COVID crash right here. So in theory, if we were just to crash straight down to the 200 simple moving average, put you at about 20K. And that's if we crash straight down from here. This is weekly time frame. So weekly candles, you probably merge out here to somewhere, putting you at whatever, 26, 25K, something in that region. If we just grinded it out for like a year straight. But I don't think you have to worry about that, man, until you really start seeing some of these other things come into play, right? And that's just the difference, I guess, at the moment. But yeah, I hope that answers that question. It's the 50 on the weekly. When that starts to turn over and we are under, we go down hard.
Yeah, no, I think that ultimately the 200 on the weekly being the bear market low has pretty much held, right? And I think that one of the things that I have looked at as it relates to, if the market does start to tank, at this point, and 69K was the top, right? Was the very top. And then there's basically, if we're going to follow any sort of a pattern, we have the one of the patterns that was, hey, we moved down 80 to 95%, depending on whether it's Bitcoin or alts, right? And then that would put us at I don't have the number right off the top of my head, but 8, 10, 8, 56, that would put us at about 13K if it was an 80% drop from Bitcoin from 69, right? So that would put us about 13K. That's some quick mental math, but about that. And then, so that would be an option. But now at that point, you're literally like 50% lower than what we're talking about for the 200 at that point, right? So that is a big gap. That is a big difference. So that would be a big deviation from what we've seen historically. Or you go to that 200 weekly. And in that case, we're talking about a 50% drop from where we're at right now. I know it sounds awful and it sounds crazy and it sounds terrible and like, oh my gosh. And yes, the rest of the market would dump. I don't know. Maybe it's just because we've been in the market so long that like 20.
I think that does happen.
Yeah,
that does happen. We have a 50% drop, like you're saying. How much are you going to sell, Nick?
I won't be at that point. I took my profits like I talked about. I took actually I took a lot less than I said.
You won't be shaking the whole way down. Like, oh, how much lower are we going?
Oh my God. I can't wait till I see you at the Bitcoin conference. I'm going to wring your neck. No. So I ultimately am, as when we drop below 40, if we take a quick move down, if we were to make a quick move down towards 30, at that point, if you already have lost that much, as it relates to profits. Right. And then knowing that, hey, you know what? The 200 is down at 20. I don't know. Patience, I guess, is what I really have to say, because the reality is that every single person that has held Bitcoin for more than 3 years has been is in profit, has been in profit. That's just a freaking stat. And so I think so too many times we do, like, obviously we're a crypto channel and we talk about the daily, the things that are going on. We talk about the weekly things that are going on, but we also talk about that big picture. And Miguel's probably the best at this just because he's drinking the Kool-Aid with Bitcoin as it relates to, what it's going to do forever.
Bro, that's
right?
the best Kool-Aid ever.
Right. So there it
Kool-Aid
is. Right. So, and that's great because I'm drinking the Kool-Aid for Bitcoin and ETH. But what I'm getting at is long term, you win. People hear me say that so often. Long term, you win. And the question then becomes, if you're already down, let's say somebody got in and they got in around 60, right? And he gets down to 30. You're already down 50%. You're slaughtered, right? Unless you need that. And again, we're not here to give financial advice, but what I'm looking at is I'm saying, hey, somebody that got in near the top gets down to 30 and they haven't, bailed. They haven't, they've sat it out. What's the difference going down to 20 at that point, right? And then you can start reaccumulating. And I think that a lot of times what happens is people don't have any sort of that patience, and they're like, well, I guess I'm just gonna cut ties. And Miguel, you like to, I know you're just kidding, but you like to bust my balls. But ultimately, when my average entry point is like less than 10K, like it's a little bit different than somebody that's in at 60. You know what I mean? But yeah, I don't know. I just wanted to just throw that out there, that if we do make that move down at the point that we're down towards 30, what's the difference going down to 20 from there?
I wonder what your XRP price is going to be like around that time.
It'll probably be through the roof because I'm sure.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. Bitcoin's dropping 50%, XRP through the roof. I don't know what metaverse you're living in.
The metaverse
you that information.
I'm just hoping. I'm hoping that if nothing else, the lawsuit will be over, and that will then spring the whole market back up. Hold on. Let me ask that real quick, Paul. Do you think that and this is not a TA question, this is just a question. Could you see the XRP case being a catalyst for that final big move, or do you think that ultimately, hey, the XRP thing's just played out and it just freaking whatever?
I think that XRP's got its day coming for sure. It's that and many other of these altcoins, especially what's that?
It's day to zero.
Yeah, I mean. You're talking. I'm not saying like $589 or anything like that, but upwards of 8 to 27, 20, whatever. There's some reason ish behind that. $8 for sure. I think that's in the cards. Will that happen when the SEC case gets dropped or whatever? Obviously that's pure speculation. Like I said, just my opinion. But yeah, I could see that that's what everybody would think would be the case. You know what I mean? Like everything has a way of, just like we said earlier, the news and all this like has a way of working its way out, correlating ish at the same time. So, XRP, for example, has a massive, just, consolidation, a multi-year, like it is not broken out, not broken all-time highs. At some point that will happen. And I'm sure that's when, just by coincidence, the SEC case will come.
Paul,
clarity will rise all boats. Okay. John Conn.
But let's think a little bit deeper about that one. You've mentioned multiple times, right? When things look a little bit too obvious, institutional market makers make the opposite thing happen. So we're all here thinking XRP. Well, let's not say all. Most people, not me, thinking XRP is going to blast through the roof because of all this massive consolidation, and it's such a sure thing that for sure the SEC is going to let them go, and their XRP is going to win the case. But what if the sledgehammer?
I wouldn't say it's a sure thing.
Everyone that talks about the SEC case and Ripple, they're talking about when. Right?
So let's talk about it. What if the sledgehammer
when XRP wins, XRP is going to blast off. So when XRP wins, it's going to blast off.
What if it does?
But what if it doesn't?
No, I agree.
90% of people.
But here's the thing. So when on the chart, just like I showed you earlier, right? Looking back, will anyone in history in 30 years, if that played out, let's just say it does. Let's just say the SEC drops the case, XRP breaks out of its all-time high, shoots up to $8, whatever. Bear market sets in, we go into whatever. You and me today are going to remember, the SEC had this stupid lawsuit and all this and all that. But once again, looking back on the chart in structure, right? Like I'm looking at the chart as a structure right now, right? So to me, it looks like it has the potential. It's poised to break out. Don't know when. literally you could set an alert and wait for it. And a day comes by when, hey, you know what, XRP breaks out. I don't know if that news of the SEC is going to be going on at the same time. It could be so fast that XRP just goes straight to $8, and then the news, things come out or whatever, and the $8 thing is just a, whatever. I'm just throwing that out there. I'm not saying it'll go straight there either, but if that makes sense, right? Because when we look back on it, 20 years from now, 10 years from now, even 4 years from now, is everybody, somebody new to the market going to look at the XRP chart and be like, that's when the SEC dropped the lawsuit? Or is it going to be, that's when the XRP broke out of its range, retested here, broke through the whatever, however somebody analyzing it and going from there, right? So that, once again, kind of goes back into the fundamental versus TA section, I suppose.
So what if they all, okay, let's go with it, Miguel. What if they do get the hammer dropped on them? Okay, so let's assume, okay, boom, drop the hammer. Here's my question. What is everybody now holding in XRP? Are they holding a security, or are they holding a worthless token?
They're holding trash.
Why?
With no trash can to put it in.
Why?
What do you mean why?
Why? Like what make
why is it trash?
Why? Why?
What does XRP present besides a banking system for banks?
No. That's not what I'm asking. What I'm asking is, all of these tokens have been distributed, and then it gets, and then let's just say they lose, and it gets, and they say, hey, it is a security. Why am I not holding a share? Why am I not holding a share at that point? Why am I not able? Because
if it gets delisted everywhere and you can't sell it anywhere, you're just stuck with it.
Agreed. But there is no way in hell that Ripple is going to stand by and let all of these people take that beating. I promise you, there will
because they care about the people.
There will be.
Wait, hold on. You're saying a company cares about people?
I am saying that they need those people, right?
To do what?
They need those people to be able to hold up and prop up that market, right? And they have money, oodles of money.
But if the law comes down on them, it don't matter what they want their people to do.
But they can be holding securities at that point. Why would we not be able to be holding a security at that point? XRP buys back at the average. You know what I mean? XRP buys back at what would be a fair market value. They buy everything back, and then they do an actual. You see what I'm saying? Like they're gonna buy it all back. What I'm telling
you is, you're letting somebody. It's like you're letting somebody commit a crime, and then they realize, oh wait, because I didn't know it was a crime. Oh, now that I know it's a crime, I'm just gonna undo my mistake. You can't undo it. The crime is done, right? The thing is done. You can't just keep moving forward.
The people are not going to be punished for.
Nobody cares about the people. That's first. The SEC doesn't care about the people. They're not out here trying to protect people. Everybody cares about their money, right? Ripple then don't care about the people. They don't. They care about
what kind of a marketing strategy would it be for Ripple to say, "Hey guys, sorry about your luck. Good luck. Better luck next time."
It's business. They made their money already. Hey, they don't need them.
I don't buy it. Because then at that point, they are effectively saying, we don't need any of you, and ultimately they did.
They don't, because their whole thing is for banks. It's not for people. But it isn't. It's not for people. It's a business to business company. It's not a business. It's not a business to retail. They don't care about the people holding XRP right now. They care about whether banks can hold XRP and if banks can use XRP. The people are just a side effect.
That they would be bought. I believe that they would be bought back, whether it would then get redistributed to the public or not. There is no way they're going to let all these people eat that. I just don't believe it. So
you think that companies care too much about people, bro, and they don't.
Well, that's kind of where It's kind of where I'm at. I don't know. I just can't see it happening. But first of all, but
John Connor says XRP is global, SEC's USA only. Well, that hasn't helped XRP's price at all. Let me tell you, with all your global friends.
I mean,
what happened to all the global banks and all the XRP adoption? Because all the banks love XRP, and they're gonna just be pumping XRP. I don't see them. Where are all these international banks right now? I guess the SEC can destroy one project in just one country.
You know what's funny? If I may intervene, it is only going to take one 50% move in a day to change even Miguel's mind, right? And that's what it is. It's like it's going off of anything and everything, fundamentals, technicals, doesn't matter, right? What changes perspective immediately is that price, so and that's the thing, like one day that will happen, right? We see it all the time. We see Bitcoin grinding into the lows of $33,000 a couple weeks ago. Everybody's down in the dumps, whatever. And you see a rally of 40% and everybody's ecstatic. And it doesn't matter why, it doesn't matter how you look at it, 33K, you were down in the dumps, your portfolio is down, whatever, the price goes up and it changes everything. Yeah. Like, as soon
Miguel's not going to buy it.
It'll happen, man. Like regardless of what you think of these projects, like it does. Like these prices aren't. They don't really actually represent the project, man. Like in my opinion,
it's speculative.
It's speculative. Paul, you said 100%. It yourself. When everyone thinks something is when people see something in the chart so obvious, market makers make sure
it's not obvious to everybody though.
The consolidation, the multi-year consolidation for
XRP literally pretty obvious. XRP is one of those one-offs, and you know that. The XRP has that cult-like following of people that have absolutely held.
Don't matter.
What I'm trying to tell you is these projects, these other projects, people would have bailed on. XRP has a following of people that have held through hell and high water
because of the sheep that love to follow elites, thinking that elites are going to pet them and be like, "Oh yeah, you're one of us now."
I'm not even arguing that, but what I'm saying is that those people in that situation have held through like no other. And I think Paul's right. When the move does happen, I know you're not going to buy it, right? But just because of how staunch just because of how against it you've been, right? Or if you did, it would be in total secret. But I know you wouldn't. But what I'm getting at is when that move does happen, right? The reality is, let me tell you this. Hold on. Let me just.
There's too much certainty, and everybody's saying when it happens, like if it's if it has to happen, it doesn't need to happen.
Okay, fine. If it happens and it is a huge move, okay, I bought most of mine 11 to 17 cents. That goes to $8 or above, and I have effectively 80x'd my from my lowest point. 17 cents is obviously not an 80x. That's about a 43x. But ultimately, what I'm getting at is you cannot tell me that you, in the back of your mind, I know you don't want to buy it. I know you don't want anything to do with it, but that you won't be like,
I can't say what.
Like that was actually a really fucking good investment.
You want me to give you a perfect example of what XRP reminds me of, and whether or not it happens of this nature or not? It already kind of happened that way, but the cult-like following, right, like you bring up and all this, is Cardano, right? So granted, we were in a full-on bear market, but Cardano also has and had that type of leadership. Both XRP and Cardano to me are very similar in that aspect. They do know how to market themselves well, and whether it's I don't know. I know when I see the guy from Cardano, he's never really over promising anything or whatever the case is. He's just
really Charles Hoskinson.
Yeah, he's just he's not like, I don't know, from what I've seen, but regardless, that was a project that went from whatever 73 cents or maybe even over $1 back in 2017 all the way down to 3 cents. Hugged 3 cents for a year and a half, even probably more than that, and rallied 100x, dude. And even today, because most people didn't get in at 3 cents, they got in at $3. You have the same kind of mentality wrapped around it, because if you were in at Nick's entry of RIP XR, you're happy regardless. It's probably not gonna, and I say probably, but it's a bigger probability that you're not going to see 11, 18 cents or lower. Like, let's just say that maybe it does go back to 18 cents. Who knows? But for somebody that got in at that level, you're sitting pretty, even on the worst day, up 4, 5x, 3x, whatever it is. It's for anybody that's buying the highs, man. It's always going to be the ones that come in, after the market's already rallied so substantially, things like Phantom, Solana, all these other ones that, anybody's buying at 100 or, I think Phantom, for example, ran up like 300x or not. Phantom.
I'll buy you a beer. I'll buy you a beer with XRP money, Miguel.
Dude,
don't worry.
I already told you. But if you do anything with XRP money, I'm not invited. Don't invite me because I'm not going.
It's so funny. Yeah. Well, we'll leave it there. That's probably we'll wait till that, if it ever happens. So I won't even say when it happens, if it happens.
Yeah.
But we'll look back on this video. I hope we got some fun with it. But yeah.
Well, Paul, you got any closing thought? Let me ask you this to kind of wrap it into a nice little bow before we jump off of here. What are, just to simplify the heck out of it, what are targets to the upside? What are targets to the downside? Just like, hey, if somebody's looking to get into a long, somebody's looking to get into a short, just kind of not obviously giving them financial advice, where to get in, where to get out, but kind of what are those, what just boom, 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 kind of what targets are should people be kind of peeking at?
So I mean, for the continued upside from here, obviously I know we're like it's 10% difference, but you really want to see that range high regained and held, and that's back at about 46K.
Oh, 46.
So
Okay.
46K, yeah. So
Yep.
and that's from here. So to the downside, we are looking at we could turn around from where we are. Like I said, I don't necessarily know if that's where we're gonna really all we're sitting on. I mean, there's a couple other things, but you were sitting on this weekly pivot and previously the CME gap, which is whatever. We got that 2-year key level right below us, and to me, this one represents a lot of strength. So that's at about $39,800. From there, got the range low would be the next biggest area to kind of pay attention for. This is also the golden pocket of this entire move, all the way from 33K all the way up. So that's at about 38. So to me, between 39.7 and 38,000, that's 17. It sounds scary, but between that $1,700 window, I think we got some really strong support within there, breaking through there, and then obviously we got to reevaluate some things. But even coming all the way back down to the $36,000 or the $37,000 volume target we got here, still put in that higher low, and we'd still kind of had this upward uptrend in action here. So hopefully that was simple, right? Basically, for continued upside in the short term, you really want to see this 42K level regained, overall range high 46, and to the downside, just to give you one major level to watch, is $39,800.
Awesome, dude. Well, as always, Paul, thank you for coming on, Crypto Fam. If you have not already liked the stream, if you could please do that real quick. Also, make sure you subscribe if you're not subscribed. We are here at least 5 days a week with live streams, and then we have content pushing out all throughout the week. On Saturday, guys, we have just as a reminder, we have another debate. We've been doing debates every Saturday, and the debate this weekend is actually with myself and Money Mark, and we're talking about, drum roll please, our cryptocurrencies securities. And that's what we're going to be talking about. And we've got two sides that are very interesting to that. I think you guys might be surprised on which side of that your boy here is going to be debating. I think you actually might be surprised. So looking forward to that. That's 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. So if nobody's told you before today, we love you. All three of us on this stream, we love you. Question everything.
Unless you hold XRP. Trust nothing.
Oh, my God. And until next time, hodl.